Good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. We've all been hurt, sometimes by strangers, often by those closest to us. That pain can stay buried, replaying over and over like a broken record. But today, I want to remind you of something powerful. You have the ability to choose your response. You can handle those who hurt you in a way that protects your peace and honors your growth. One of the most overlooked steps in dealing with people who hurt us is simply admitting that we were hurt. Sounds obvious, right? But in reality, many of us downplay our pain. We say things like, "It's not a big deal," or "I'm fine," or "I should be over this by now." We try to suppress it, minimize it, or distract ourselves from it, because facing it feels uncomfortable, even shameful. But here's the truth. You cannot heal what you will not feel. When someone wrongs you, whether they betrayed your trust, disrespected your boundaries, or said something cruel, it affects you emotionally. And that emotional impact deserves to be acknowledged, not buried. Pain is not weakness. Feeling hurt doesn't make you overly sensitive. It makes you human. By recognizing your pain, you're giving yourself permission to feel what needs to be felt. That's not self-pity, it's self-awareness. It's the foundation of emotional intelligence. Because when you deny your pain, you don't eliminate it. You just push it deeper, where it festers and grows into resentment, anxiety, or even depression. Suppressed pain becomes a silent thief. It steals your peace. It clouds your judgment. It influences your relationships, often without you realizing it. So start by being honest with yourself. Say it out loud if you need to. "I'm hurt. What they said impacted me. That experience still lingers inside me." There's power in putting words to pain. There's strength in naming what wounded you. It's not about blaming others or playing the victim. It's about taking the first courageous step toward emotional clarity. And when you validate your own pain, you stop waiting for others to do it for you. You no longer need their apology to begin your healing. You don't need them to admit they were wrong before you acknowledge what's right for your soul. Validation doesn't mean you'll stay stuck in your pain. In fact, it's the opposite. By embracing what hurt you, you begin to loosen its grip. You begin to understand yourself better, why you feel the way you do, where the wound is, and what it might be teaching you. Only then can you begin to respond, not react. Only then can you move from the emotional chaos of the moment to a place of calm, clarity, and control. Recognizing your pain is the first step, not the easiest, but the most necessary. When someone hurts you, your instinct might be to confront, to withdraw, or even to question yourself. But one of the most powerful and healthy responses is to set clear boundaries, and not just in reaction to pain, but as a way to protect your emotional space moving forward. Boundaries are not walls to keep people out. They are filters to protect what matters inside your peace, your energy, your time, your value. They are not acts of punishment. They are acts of profound self-respect. Think of boundaries as an emotional immune system. They help you decide what you allow into your life and what you no longer tolerate. They are not selfish. They are essential. But here's where it gets difficult. The people who hurt you are often the ones most likely to resist your boundaries. They may label you as cold, distant, or too sensitive. Why? Because your boundary disrupts the comfort they once had in crossing lines. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries are the first to complain when you start building them. But that doesn't mean you're wrong. It means you're finally honoring your worth. Setting boundaries starts with clarity. What behaviors cross the line for you? What treatment are you no longer willing to accept? You don't need to justify your boundaries. You don't need long explanations. A simple, firm statement is enough. I'm not comfortable with that. I need some space. I'm choosing not to engage with this right now. Your job is not to manage other people's reactions to your boundaries. It's to stand by them, even when it's uncomfortable. Maintaining boundaries is an ongoing process, not a one-time event. Some people will test them, others will ignore them. That's okay. Their response is not your responsibility. Your consistency is. Over time, people will either learn to respect your boundaries or remove themselves from your life. Either outcome is a win because it leads to clarity, peace, and healthier relationships. And remember, boundaries are not only for the people who've hurt you. Sometimes they're for the people you still love deeply. You can love someone and still need distance. You can care and still say no. Setting boundaries doesn't mean cutting people off. It means making space for relationships to breathe in a way that honors your mental and emotional health. When you create and maintain boundaries, you're not being harsh, you're being wise. You're not building walls, you're planting fences with gates you control. You're sending a message to the world and to yourself. I know my value. I protect my peace. I choose what gets access to my inner world. Forgiveness is one of the most misunderstood concepts when it comes to healing from emotional wounds. Many people believe that forgiving someone means excusing their behavior, pretending it didn't hurt, or inviting them back into your life. But true forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional weight of the pain they caused. When someone hurts you deeply, the natural response is to hold on to the anger, the resentment, the memories, the injustice. And let's be honest, that anger often feels justified. It gives you a sense of control. It makes you feel like you're holding them accountable. But over time, that same anger becomes a burden. It hardens your heart, poisons your thoughts, and keeps you tied to the pain. You end up drinking the poison of bitterness and expecting it to affect the other person. Forgiveness doesn't mean the hurt didn't happen. It doesn't mean you're saying, it's okay. It means you're choosing not to let that hurt define you or dominate your emotional space anymore. It means you're releasing your grip on the wound so you can finally start to heal. And here's the thing, forgiveness is not a feeling, it's a decision. You may never feel like forgiving the person who betrayed your trust or broke your spirit, but you can still make the choice. You can choose to release the grip that anger has on your life. Because in doing so, you take your power back. It's also important to realize that forgiveness doesn't always lead to reconciliation. You can forgive someone and still choose not to keep them in your life. You can let go of the hurt without reopening the door to someone who doesn't respect your worth. Forgiveness is internal. It's a silent act of courage. And it's for your peace, not their comfort. Sometimes the person you need to forgive will never apologize. They may never admit what they did. They may not even realize or care how deeply they hurt you. That can make forgiveness feel impossible. But remember, their lack of accountability doesn't have to trap you in pain. You don't need their permission to heal. You don't need their remorse to move on. Forgiving isn't weakness, it's strength. It takes far more strength to release the weight of the past than to carry it around forever. Forgiveness says, I will not allow your actions to live rent-free in my heart anymore. I choose peace, even if you never ask for it. I will not let the person who broke me also stop me from growing. And sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself, for allowing them to stay too long, for not seeing the signs, for breaking your own boundaries. But you deserve grace too. You were doing the best you could with what you knew at the time. Forgive yourself just as fiercely as you forgive others. Forgiveness isn't a one-time event, it's a process. It may take time. You might have to forgive the same person again and again as new layers of pain surface. That's okay. It's not about perfection. It's about persistence. One of the most powerful and healing choices you can make after someone has hurt you is to create distance, not out of anger, not to retaliate, but to protect your peace and reclaim your power. Distance is not about cutting people off with coldness or shutting them out of your life in rage. It's about stepping back with clarity, with dignity, and with the full awareness that some connections are simply not meant to stay close. There's a myth that says if you really care about someone, you'll always keep them in your life. But the truth is, you can care about someone, even love them deeply, and still recognize that their presence in your life is causing more harm than good. Love is not enough if it costs you your emotional health. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself, and even for them, is to create space. When someone consistently disrespects your boundaries, manipulates your emotions, or brings chaos into your mental space, distance becomes a form of self-preservation. It's not about being cruel. It's about choosing yourself over the constant cycles of pain, confusion, and disappointment. It's about acknowledging that you cannot force people to treat you well, but you can choose not to give them continued access to your inner world. And distancing doesn't always mean a dramatic goodbye or a public fallout. Sometimes it's quiet, it's gradual, it's emotional before it's physical. You stop answering right away. You share a little less. You begin to protect your thoughts, your routines, your dreams. You stop expecting from them what they have shown they're not willing or capable to give. You remove your energy from the equation, and in doing so, you allow clarity to rise. And yes, distance can feel painful at first, especially if the person was once close to you, a friend, a family member, a partner. But healing is not always comfortable. Sometimes it requires stepping into discomfort for the sake of your future peace. You may feel guilt, doubt, or even loneliness. That's natural. But just because something feels difficult doesn't mean it's wrong. Often the hardest choices are the most necessary ones. What's important is that you choose dignity over drama. You don't have to prove your point. You don't need to announce your departure or convince others that you were right. Let your peace speak for itself. Let your absence be your answer. Walk away not with bitterness in your heart, but with wisdom in your steps. Because ultimately, distance isn't about the other person, it's about your journey. It's about honoring what you need in order to grow. And sometimes the very space you create is what gives you the perspective to finally see the situation clearly. Distance allows you to heal without interference, to rebuild your identity without distortion, and to hear your own voice without their noise. You are not obligated to stay in relationships that drain you, confuse you, or minimize your worth. You have the right to choose peace, even if that means choosing space. You're allowed to prioritize your healing over someone else's comfort. You can love someone from afar and still protect your inner peace up close. When someone hurts you, it's easy, natural even, to become consumed by the pain they caused. You replay the moments. You analyze their words. You question your worth. You wonder why they treated you the way they did. The betrayal loops in your mind like a broken record, making it difficult to move on. But there comes a moment when you have to decide, am I going to let what they did define me, or am I going to focus on who I'm becoming in spite of? Healing begins when you shift your focus away from what happened to you and toward who you are becoming because of it. Pain, while deeply unpleasant, can be one of life's greatest teachers. It shows you your limits, your values, your resilience. It exposes the cracks, but also gives you the opportunity to rebuild stronger, wiser, and more aware. Every scar is proof that you survived something that was meant to break you, and instead you learned, you grew, and you rose. When you fixate on the person who hurt you, you give them space they no longer deserve. You allow them to live in your thoughts, control your emotions, and influence your future. But when you reclaim that energy and invest it in your own growth, you take your power back. You stop asking, why did they do this to me? And start asking, what can I build from this? Who do I want to become next? This is the moment when transformation begins. You begin to rebuild your confidence. You redefine your boundaries. You reconnect with your purpose. The very pain that once made you feel small becomes the soil where your strength is planted. You realize that their actions say far more about them than they ever did about you, and instead of trying to change the past, you begin to create a future that reflects your healing, not your hurt. This isn't about pretending the pain didn't matter. It mattered, it shaped you, but now you get to decide what that shaping turns you into. Will you let it make you bitter or better? Will it harden your heart or deepen your wisdom? Will it close you off or help you become more discerning, more compassionate, more powerful? Focusing on who you're becoming allows you to take full ownership of your story. You stop being just a victim of someone else's cruelty, and you become the hero of your own healing. You find your voice, you set new goals. You attract better people because you've elevated your own sense of worth. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't value you and start showing up fully for yourself. You might still feel the sting of the past. That's okay. Growth doesn't mean the absence of pain. It means refusing to be defined by it. It means waking up every day and choosing to move forward, even when it would be easier to stay stuck. It means replacing resentment with purpose, turning wounds into wisdom, and understanding that the most powerful story you can ever tell is not what hurt you, but how you overcame it. So ask yourself, who am I becoming through this? What strengths am I discovering in myself? What values am I choosing to live by now that I've seen what I don't want? Who do I want to be now that I've seen who I am not? Because the truth is this: you are not what they did to you. You are not their mistake, their manipulation, or their cruelty. You are what you choose to become next. The truth is, getting hurt by people is part of the human experience. We can't control what others do, but we can absolutely control how we respond, how we heal, and how we grow. You don't have to stay stuck in cycles of pain, bitterness, or silence. You have the right to feel your hurt, to protect your energy, to let go, to grow, to forgive, to walk away, and to do all of it without losing your dignity. Let the pain make you wiser, not colder. Let it open your eyes, not close your heart. You are not what they did to you. You are what you decide to become in response. So choose peace, choose growth, choose healing, because the strongest version of you isn't the one who fights back. It's the one who rises without needing to. Thank